Now, the Nissan Kicks e-Power is a car that we like quite a bit. So when Edoran Tanchong called us and said, hey, we've slapped a body kit on it, do you want to take the car back out again? Obviously, we said yes. Now, one of the parts that we like most about the Nissan Kicks is this e-Power powertrain. So under the bonnet, you will find a 1.2-litre 3-cylinder engine, which acts as a generator. Outputs for that electric motor are rated at 129 PS and 280 Newton meters of torque, meaning that this relatively small car does have decent punch to it. And because motivation is provided by that electric motor, it also means that torque has no hesitation, and more importantly, this car feels a lot perkier than those numbers suggest. Now, the Impul kit for the Nissan Kicks can be had in either the V or VL trims, and it requires an additional 8,500 ringgit to affix. However, with that Impul kit, you do get Impul badging up here, so everybody knows what it is. That massive V-motion grille that we've seen before remains untouched, and they're still flanked by a set of full LED headlights, replete with LED indicators, with LED fog lights down there. Although, talking about what's going on down there, there is now a much more prominent Impul front spoiler that does help to underscore that V-motion grille, and I do think that it gives this car a degree of aggression that it already had, but it's now just been made even more aggressive. I quite like it. Down the side, the Impul goodies continue because rolling stock has now been upgraded from the original 17s to 18-inch alloy wheels, and Impul call this a bronze clear finish, and I think that these wheels look fantastic. They are wrapped in Eagle F1 tires from Goodyear as well, which are suitably high performance tires and certainly should do a little bit better than the Eco low rolling resistance tires that this car came with as standard, at least those for those who are looking for slightly better driving dynamics. As we move further down, you still get the e-Power badge here, but you do get an Impul decal down the side, which on this white car I think looks really good. And of course, the side profile of this car is completed by a set of side skirts replete with Impul badging down by the rear door, which I think again makes this car look quite good. Another thing that you might be able to spot here are these vents up here. This is not part of the Impul kit. This is part of another accessory pack, but we'll touch on that a little bit later. You also get, or rather what you can see from here, is this spoiler, which you get a better view from the rear. Because as you can see, this spoiler takes a sort of M shape, which I think does look quite shapely, and it does make the back of this car look quite good, although this is also supported by a new lower bumper applique here, which I think, again, replete with the Impul badging in the middle, does make this car look a little bit more aggressive, and I do think that it does set off the design of the Kicks quite well. One thing that I would like to point out, however, is the fact that this lower rear bumper add-on is an add-on, which means that from here I can tell that there is a slight color difference between the white that's applied here compared to the white of the car. Now, I'm not sure if that is an issue specific to this model, because I'm made to understand that this was something of a prototype for ETCM, which means that this might have weathered quite a bit, but that's certainly something to look out for. Aside from that, the design of the Kicks e-Power remains exactly the same. So you have full LED tail lights up here, replete with LED indicators. You still get this red bar across, which is not a light bar, and more importantly, you also do not get a powered tailgate. Now, that doesn't seem too much of a problem because this is ultimately a compact car and this tailgate is quite light, which means that it doesn't really take that much effort to open it. But once you do, you will see that the space in the Kicks e-Power is pretty good, and it now even comes with a load liner, which is rubberized, which means that things that you put in here shouldn't roll about as much as they would if it were plastic. In terms of practicality, you can fold the rear seats 60-40, however, they don't fold flat to the floor, and there is a bar in between the 60-40 split, which means that if you are trying to load larger items in here, you will have to pay attention to the fact that that is eating into a little bit of space. Although, of course, if you'd like to learn more about this car in greater detail, you can actually check out our full review of the Nissan Kicks, which we published quite some time ago. Now, in terms of the interior of this Kicks Impul, it is exactly the same as a regular Kicks, which means that you get this sort of brown and black colorway with some soft touch material on the front of the dash, as well as black and brown upholstery for the seats. You also get a black leather wrapped steering wheel, this pretty decent center infotainment system replete with USB connection for the Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, no wireless charger, this stubby gear selector here, a semi-digital instrument cluster which gives you all the information that you need and does work quite well as a novel digital rear view camera, which does help when you have this car fully loaded and your view out the back might be somewhat restricted. Now, you may see from this angle that there are signatures on the dash. Now, that's because several executives from Impul and Nissan Japan were in the country when this vehicle was launched, and so they had the opportunity to sign this particular car. I hate to point out, however, that those signatures are not standard on every Kicks Impul. It's just this particular model. Now, I am slightly disappointed because the exterior pack for this car is quite extensive, and I do think that it does make this car look a lot more aggressive than it initially was. I would have liked to have seen a little bit of that Impul flavor make it into this cabin. For example, a slightly different stitching for the steering wheel, for example, or maybe some red stitches or red accents about the place, perhaps, or something. It's just that in here, it just feels like any Nissan Kicks, which is not a bad thing, but if you've already paid nearly 10,000 ringgit for an accessory pack, you'd want more accessories within the car. Now, this interior does remain decently practical. You still have that dual level cup holder system here, decently sized glove box here, decently sized door bins, big enough for a 1.5 litre size bottle, as well as a rather shallow center armrest here. But overall, life in this car is still pretty good. You get single zone climate control, which is always nice to see, with lots of physical knobs to control things, which is exactly what we want. And of course, everything in here folds very easily to hand with very good ergonomics, plus what Nissan builds as zero gravity seats, which means that when you're sat here and you've adjusted this seat properly, it is a very comfortable place to be, to even take in a long journey. Now, in terms of space in the back, this car is not the largest within the segment. The Honda HR-V does offer a little bit more in terms of rear legroom. However, I do feel that for the price, and given the fact that you are paying primarily for this cutting-edge powertrain, I think the packaging in the rear is pretty much all right. The only downside to me is the fact that there is no deployable center armrest, which would have made life a little bit more comfortable for two rear adult passengers, though the ISOFIX mounts in this car remain very easy to locate, and the doors do open decently wide. And because the wheelbase of this car is not that small, you can actually fit a bulky rear-facing child seat in this car without too much issue at all. But perhaps the biggest question with this Kicks Impul is, does the body kit, or does the Impul kit rather, affect the way the car drives, particularly on these slightly larger alloys? Well, let's find out. Now, as I've mentioned earlier in this review, and also in the full review of the Nissan Kicks, the main selling point of the Kicks is the e-Power powertrain. Simply because this car essentially drives like an EV, because motive force comes from that electric motor. Think of it as an electric car that you never have to charge, or one that you can replenish 900 kilometers of range in with just a 5-minute fuel up. Now, as I mentioned earlier, 129 PS and 280 Newton meters of torque doesn't really sound like much, and that's because it isn't on the face of it, especially compared to electric vehicles where you can have a ridiculous amount of torque quite easily. However, because of the nature of this car, given the fact that you are ultimately refueling it like you would any other B-segment crossover, the value in this is the fact that you get to enjoy the benefits of electric motoring, such as silent running, reduced energy consumption, as well as very smooth movements. You get to enjoy all of that without, have the hassle of having to plug in, if you consider it to be a hassle. And more importantly, compared to other vehicles within this segment, because motive force in this car is provided via the electric motor, it also means that response in this car, or rather the throttle response in this car, is significantly more peppy than you'd expect from a vehicle of this size and class. Because where other vehicles, say if they were turbocharged, would require some time for a gearbox to kick down or to find the right ratio for the turbo to spool up, in this car it just goes because it's electric. And because the e-Power system is not exactly new, it's been around in Nissan vehicles for quite some time, they've refined this setup in such a way that it allows for the car to always maintain an optimal amount of battery so that you always have optimal performance when you need it. You're never left floundering. Because of the amount of torque available in this car, it means that getting up to motorway speeds is a relatively effortless affair. And then once you are up at motorway speeds, this car can maintain it quite easily because all of that torque is available from essentially 0 RPM. Now, one of the benefits of the Kicks e-Power powertrain, having been refined for as long as it has in markets like Japan, is that arriving here in our market, though it might be new here, it's essentially a much more polished version of this e-Power powertrain. So for example, when you are up at motorway speeds where you'll be using a lot more battery, the engine will naturally kick in to keep everything topped up. But Nissan has figured out how to get the engine speed at just the right level, to a point where it's not too noisy in the cabin, but still provides an adequate amount of electricity in order to keep the car running. And so because this engine runs at preset speeds, you never hear it rev very hard or harshly, even when you're on heavy throttle application. Everything in this car just feels really, really smooth. And I think that that is a huge selling point of this car. And it's one of those things that you won't realize until you drive one, or if you're watching our review now. Now, I've had the benefit of driving this car not just around town as I have for our full review. I've also had the benefit of driving this car on an inter-urban stretch, driving this from KL to Malacca and back, which took in some bits on the motorway, some bits on B roads, etc., in order to better understand the dynamics of this car and to understand the powertrain a little bit better. And I can testify to the fact that even when you're cruising at relatively high speeds on the motorway, it never feels noisy. The powertrain in this car is incredibly muted. That engine, for example, feels like it's very, very far away from the cabin. And the only time you feel any sort of rumble from this engine is when it's switching on and switching off, and only then when you are at a standstill. Because when you're driving, the car is moving about to the point where you won't really feel the engine, naturally. And of course, when you are driving on the motorway, when you're taking in a cruise, for example, you appreciate the fact this car is also incredibly well refined in terms of wind noise. There's almost no buffeting, no whistling from around this area, even though this car doesn't use double pane glass, has become de rigueur, particularly from Chinese competitors. Wind noise is very well suppressed, and even on these Goodyear Eagle F1 tires, road noise is also not really an issue in this car. No matter what you throw at it, the Kicks e-Power just comes back with this very polished, very refined presentation, and I think that that is very, very hard to beat. And then of course there is the fuel economy. Now, Nissan claims some ridiculous number in this car, which essentially equates to about 900 kilometers on a full tank. Now, having driven this car primarily in town, and of course I haven't exactly been very efficient with it, I think that 900 kilometers is a bit of a stretch. Just like all EVs, just like all ICE cars, your consumption is based on your driving manners, and ultimately, driving this car around, you'd be more realistically expecting to see about 800 to 850 kilometers on a full tank, which again is still not a particularly bad number. And when you consider the fact that that kind of economy is presented from a car that is very smooth to drive, very refined and very quiet, not just in traffic jams but also out on the motorway, this does feel like a pretty comprehensive package. And then we get to the safety. Now, the Nissan Kicks e-Power comes with all the specifications you'd expect from a modern vehicle in 2025. So it's got a 360-degree camera, autonomous emergency braking, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, etc., etc. And it also comes with other active safety features such as adaptive cruise control with traffic jam assist. Now, talking specifically about the adaptive cruise control, there is something a little bit odd about this car. Because while the traffic jam assist is able to bring you to a halt, shortly after you come to a stop, a beep will sound from the car, which will then ask you to apply the brakes to stop the car from moving any further forward. Now, I find this to be a bit strange because this car does have an electronic parking brake, which means that in theory, it should be able to hold itself at a standstill. But as far as I'm concerned, the act of just pressing the brake and then hitting resume when the car in front moves is just not that big of a deal. And perhaps you could choose to perceive that as a way to ensure that the driver is always paying attention. Maybe. But otherwise, that is a relatively small niggle with this car. Because as far as I'm concerned, the Kicks e-Power is an incredibly capable little car. For the price that it's asking for, you get a compact crossover with a cutting-edge powertrain that is, like I said, incredibly capable. This is not a powertrain that runs out of puff on the motorway, nor is it a powertrain that is unusually gruff when you're stuck in traffic. Instead, this car feels a little bit more like a jack of all trades. That said, of course, the Kicks e-Power is still not the best car to drive despite this Impul body kit and the larger wheels. The grip has improved, yes, but otherwise the dynamics of this car is identical to the regular Kicks. And so whether or not you take the body kit is entirely a matter of taste. If you want your car to look a little bit more aggressive, then great. I know that if I was buying a Kicks, I would certainly want it. But if you don't really care for that sort of thing, then it doesn't really matter. Save yourself $8,500. I'm pretty sure that'll fuel the car for quite some distance. However, if you do want a car within this space that is good to drive, or perhaps slightly better to drive, there is also the Proton X50, which has recently been updated with a 4-cylinder powertrain, which is now more powerful and yet also somehow more fuel efficient. And of course, if you want something that is bigger but still equally fuel efficient, there is also the Honda HR-V eHEV, where that series parallel hybrid system allows the car to choose which powertrain works best based on the conditions. And of course, the HR-V itself is a physically larger car, not just in terms of cargo space, but also in terms of passenger space. But if what you want is a compact hybrid crossover, then I do believe that this Kicks e-Power is a very difficult proposition to beat, because it's so very well specified and it's so very well engineered. And it's not like this car isn't fun to drive, it's just that there are sharper tools out there. And in terms of comfort, this car is pretty much unbeatable. If you'd like to learn more about the Nissan Kicks e-Power, you can check out our full review of this car on the channel. But in any case, that concludes our review of the 2025 Nissan Kicks e-Power Impul. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell icon to be notified every time we make a new upload. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All the links are in the description below, including the link to join our new WhatsApp channel. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care, stay safe, and jangan bodoh, especially in the rain.